What we can talk about next is, some coach of the year candidates. Halfway through the year now, we've talked about Heisman guys. We talked about some of the best offenses and all these other things. But some guys, for coach of the year so far, I mean, there's some obvious names, right? Lance Leipold of Kansas coming out of nowhere, really turning around that program that was always one of the bottom teams in the Big 12.
Right.
Um,
Now has him competing, so
yeah, you have Mike Norvell out of Florida State, really, taking a team that much wasn't expected out of them this year, and they've been fighting, and I mean they just lost against Clemson, but they hung around in that game, gave themselves a shot to win that. Mike Elko at Duke. Duke was a surprise, kind of in the same vein as Kansas. Not a very good team. Really put together just a good coaching staff and decent game plan on both sides of the ball for them to compete. So certainly a good job by him. How about Syracuse? Syracuse
Syracuse is
coach,
having a hell of a season.
yeah, Dino Babers, kind of, yeah, really taking that ACC by storm. Really a surprise team, kind of came out of nowhere. They kind of somehow under the radar though, right? Like you hear a lot of people talk about Kansas, you hear a lot of people talk about Duke just because they've been so bad.
Yeah,
Syracuse has been a team that's been bad, but they have some years
they
where
have
they're
years where
up.
they're like
So it's almost
mediocre.
so it's almost like some people are maybe overlooking them a bit or maybe not as surprised, but still you got to give credit where credit is due. Certainly a great job by that Syracuse program to make advances and do better, and they're packing out that Carrier Dome now, which is always fun to see. And
Yeah, that dome
um,
is pretty hard to. It's hard to play in any dome. So
mhm.
and that dome is a little bit smaller, so it's just like that environment's just crazy in general.
Yeah, and then we have some of the bigger name guys, Lincoln Riley and USC. I mean, obviously he picked up their first loss, but um, they're certainly ahead of schedule at this point with how they've been playing.
Right.
Josh Heupel, who we talked about in Tennessee, really kind of took that momentum from last year. Now with the big win at Bama, I'm sure he's shooting up people's Coach of the Year rankings, and tough games to go still in the SEC, but I think they're still going to finish as one of the top teams and maybe make that SEC championship game. And then we have Chip Kelly out in UCLA. He's come in and really kind of turned around that UCLA program that hasn't been very good lately.
Right.
They retained their quarterback from last year, Dorian Thompson Robinson. Um,
He's solid, and
yeah,
he's somebody that's not getting enough notoriety from the media at all. And he's gonna get drafted. He's a first rounder for sure.
yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know if he's going to be a first rounder because of the how many quarterbacks there are, and that there's going to be the Bryce Youngs and C.J. Strouds are just kind of guaranteed it.
Right.
Now you're talking about Hendon Hooker, you're talking about Cam
Cam
Rising,
Rising,
you're still
yeah.
talking about Will Levis, you're still talking about
Anthony Richardson
Anthony
possibly.
Richardson in Florida. I mean, look, there's so many guys. And the knock against guys like Dorian Thompson Robinson is and always has been about they're running like that maybe their passing isn't up to par. Now, whether that's fair or not is a whole nother issue.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a fan of the
As a
guy.
passer, I think he's a great passer.
I'm a fan of the guy. But he's certainly helping his draft stock. So good for him. Either way, he should be a guy who should get an opportunity to get to an NFL training camp,
Right.
be able to be tested and hopefully get an opportunity to play and see what he's really got against some NFL competition.